Moving on to the last one. Is this considered a classic?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
We'll talk about that.
Okay.
Hi everyone. Welcome once again to Editing Academy. I'm Darryl.
I'm Laura.
Laura, what number are we doing today?
We are doing the movie Roman Holiday, which is the number 7 of my favorite top 20 movies.
You're getting up there.
Hold on, baby clap.
Oh, sorry. Baby clap.
Thank you.
All right. Tell us all about. Oh no, I'll do the thing. Sorry.
Okay, do the things.
Released in 1953, directed and produced by William Wyler, stars Audrey Hepburn and Gregory Peck, a couple side characters, but they really honestly don't matter. Was nominated for a lot of things at the Academy. Best Motion Picture, Best Director, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actor, Best Screenplay, Best Story, Best Art Direction, Best Cinematography, Best Costume Design, Best Film Editing, and they had divided those categories at that point because there was color, but this was black and white.
Oh,
So
interesting.
these were nominated specifically in the black and white category.
Okay.
It did win for Audrey for Best Actress, for Best Story, which is Dalton Trumbo, who later
Yep.
we all know about now.
Had been on the blacklist.
And then
Yeah.
Costume Design for Edith Head, who was a legendary costume designer at the time.
Don't quote me on this, but my understanding is that this was actually written, I think this was during the blacklist, and he didn't have his name on it. And it was later awarded to him under
okay.
his own name. I will check on that, but I think
Okay.
that Roman Holiday, he won an award but could not get it.
Oh.
Because they gave it to like Fred Smith or something who
Oh,
didn't
yeah,
actually exist.
There's
So,
also a name, just quick side tangent, there's also a name that
Yes.
directors and writers will use that everybody uses the same thing when they
Yeah.
themselves don't want to have their name attached to it.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it is, but
Nope.
anyway.
Okay, so this is romance versus romantic comedy. It is probably my favorite romance, and I first of all, obviously starring Gregory Peck and Audrey Hepburn at perfect times in their careers. She is just being introduced. I think this was her film debut, if I'm not mistaken. She won an Academy Award for it. He had been nominated for 4 Academy Awards previously and is going to win one in a couple of years for To Kill a Mockingbird. So he's like, it's the perfect time, just perfect leading man. He is drop dead gorgeous, tall, strong, decent, romantic, kind, deep voice, good sense of humor, all the things. And she, again, is just kind of, I think, the classic romantic heroine in this movie. One of the things I love about this movie, 2 things I love that I'm going to talk about first, and I'm going to get your impression, because I think you have not watched this before.
I have not seen this before.
Okay, so the 2 things that I loved about this movie, the first one and the most important is the transformation of Princess Anne's character. She goes from, she is a child. When we meet her, she's a child eating milk and crackers, and you can tell she's somebody who has dreams, who has desires, who's interested in the world at large, but has no ability to see that. She's overwhelmed by things and people. She gets frustrated. She can't express herself. She doesn't know how to express herself. And then, she has the Princess Anne's Day Out, which we'll talk about. And when we see her go back, first of all, it is her choice to go back.
Mm-hmm.
She takes agency over her own life. You see her have a very stern posture and speak to the people around her as their princess.
Yep.
She makes the decision of how her life is going to proceed. She's taking control of her destiny. She's not someone to be trifled with. She has just a strong posture. She is princess by choice. She is choosing her life. And so I just love over the course of the day that a very, immature girl becomes a strong woman because of this day and the people that she meets and the things that she does. And then the other piece that I love is it's a doomed romance. And we've talked before about Remains of the Day being a doomed romance, which I hated and you loved. And the reason I hated it was because it was doomed because the people were stupid. And they wouldn't speak to each other or communicate with each other or say, I love you. This was 2 people who the world has doomed their romance. Were they to have the choice and they know that they can't make that choice. This is Casablanca. This is 2 people who love each other, who would love each other, but they are giving each other up for the greater good. And that's the kind of doom romance I like. So you have not seen it before. So what were your thoughts?
So a couple things to build off what you said. First thing I want to say is It's taken me a long time to kind of articulate it, and I'm still not able to articulate it very well. But there's just something about a black and white film.
Yes.
When you watch something in black and white, it instantly has more importance than it really deserves.
Fair.
Just because it's in black and white. Like, it just seems bigger, better for some reason. There's just something about black and white that gives a film more importance. And it doesn't really earn it, it's just in black and white. But because of that choice, it just seems more important.
Yeah.
So that's number one. Number two, you're absolutely correct. When we are first introduced to her, she is a young, I would call it kind of spoiled teenager with a lot of angst.
Yeah.
She's got a lot of angst. Like, typical teenager tantrum. I'll be dead before he gets here is one of the lines that she says. Like, and I was instantly put off. I got it, but I was instantly put off by that character. And I was like, okay. I also will admit that I expected this movie to be different than it was.
Okay.
So it was about halfway through, give or take, that I kind of was able to settle back and let the movie be what it was versus what I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
I thought it was going to be far more of a romantic comedy and not just a story of two people telling a romance. So I loved the end, and the ending is absolutely perfect.
It's what has to happen.
So yes, it took me a little while to kind of settle into the film, to let the film be what the film was actually trying to tell me, as opposed to my preconceived notion of what it was. Kind of like you had trouble with Blade Runner.
Fair.
Similar thing for me with this one. I thought it was going to be one thing, and it took me a while to get that out of my head to settle it. Go ahead.
Well, and actually, I will say, I think the weakest part of the movie is the first maybe 20 minutes before they get together. Like, from the moment she actually wakes up and she's there with him, you know, in his apartment, from that point on, the movie soars. I think that you have to set up the fact of who she was to see the difference and the contrast between who she's going to be. And I agree, they make her petulant and just, you know, drama queen and all of these things. They have to make her that way so that you can see what the change is. But also, it's just not that interesting until you see her and Gregory Peck come together. And from that moment on, the day that they spend in Rome, the you know, just the things that they do, everything that is so normal to all of us, a gelato and a haircut and, you know, just going to these things, riding in a moped, just they are brilliant experiences for her.
This is not a unique story. This is a story that's been told for centuries before, where some highborn ends up spending time
falling in love with a commoner.
That, or just spending time with common people. Like, it was a thing that the Romans did. It was the thing that was done at 1600s, 1700s. So it's not unusual. What was good about this is that the day itself, and it's right in the title, a Roman holiday, the day that they actually spend together is her being able to be and do the things that she wants with support of someone. The film would not have worked if it would have just been focused on her going and doing all these things.
No.
She did kind of need a guide to help her navigate this.
Yes.
She is recognized a couple times, and Gregory kind of shies her away from that, because I didn't like the initial thing, like, I'm doing this for the 5,000. I get it, so that eventually he'd be like, I'm going to not take the money. I get that. But there were moments of his trying to keep that part alive and keep it hidden. I would have preferred if they had acknowledged who they were and then still be able to spend the day together.
I think they couldn't, but I think that I liked that part because he needed to transform as well.
Sure.
You know, it started with him at the you know, poker table and lying to his boss, and he wasn't a good guy.
No.
So that's the other thing, is they show him not being a good guy, kind of ruled by money, kind of ruled by, you know, I'm going to get the big story. So they had to transform him as well to, I'm going to be the good guy in the end. So I wouldn't have liked it as much if he had an impact on her and she didn't have an impact on him.
Oh, okay.
She needed to change him in the same way he needed to change her. I hate to say it, but a precursor to Pretty Woman, almost, you know, in some ways.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I probably should watch this one again now, knowing what it is, so that I can enjoy it for what it is. Because like I said, it was about halfway through that I had to pull back. So I think some of that.
Did you assume they'd end up together at the end?
Yeah, I thought this was going to be like a
straight up romantic comedy.
Absolutely, and that's what I was just looking for. Is like, what are the moments that they're going to get? How is she going to be able to bring this person into her life the
Yeah.
the things that I was looking for, and they obviously weren't there
Yeah.
because that is not this movie.
Yep, exactly. And I also loved Eddie Albert in this. I thought
He was the friend?
He was the friend. Yeah, he's Green Acres guy.
Oh, okay.
So he was funny and he was a little slapsticky. He was the humor that they needed to have, but also he ended up being the good guy in the end, which I really liked. My favorite line in this movie is when they ask her what her favorite part of the tour has been. And the answer she is supposed to be giving, and the answer she is given in every other place is, oh, all of the places I've been are lovely in their own way. And she starts to give the rote answer, and then she says Rome. By all means, Rome. And I just love her delivery of that line. And also, it has two meanings, because first of all, it's Rome, because this is where I fell in love, and she's saying it to Joe Bradley.
Yep.
Like, it will be Rome because of you and because of what I remember. But also, in speaking that line, she found her voice. So she is not going to be saying the words that they tell her to say from now on. She is going to be using her voice and saying what she feels to be right. So to me, it had double meaning. The actual words to him, and also the fact that I'm going to answer questions in the way I want to answer questions from now on. So another piece of her transformation.
I didn't pick up on that, but you've obviously seen it far more than I have, but you are
seen
correct.
It a few times, yeah.
You are correct.
Mhm.
Like, I got the transformation at the end, and a lot of it was in her posture. She
Yes.
went back to the more
Yep.
regal posture, and specifically when she's like, no more milk and cookies, like
Yeah.
you can see that there was a transformation out of the
Yeah.
childlike thing. So I got all of that. I didn't catch all of the moments where she's embracing her new power though.
Yeah.
So
And just even, I didn't think they overdid it with, she went and met all of the people in the receiving line. And obviously she had an extra moment with Gregory Peck, but it wasn't overdone. The violins weren't soaring.
Yeah.
No one else might have noticed that she spent extra time with him and there was a little bit more eye contact. And I think anything else would have been overdone.
I agree.
Or just even the comment that she made about, I believe and trust in my, fellow man, and your trust is well founded. They said so much without saying anything. So
No, I did enjoy this film. It is probably not one that I'm going to go back and revisit for a while. And I will be honest, I like Gregory Peck.
yeah.
I was not all that impressed with him in this film. I
Mhm.
think this is one of his lesser performances out of the things that he does. There's just something about it that I bought it, but I didn't fully get the full Gregory Peck kind of feel.
Well, you'll notice he was not nominated for Best Actor.
Right.
With all of the nominations that they got, and with the fact he'd been nominated 4 times, I think they recognize that too. He was absolutely secondary to Audrey Hepburn.
Yeah.
Who it's very interesting because I'm not a huge Audrey Hepburn fan. I love this
neither am
movie. I know people just adore her. I like Breakfast and Tiffany's. I think it's good. I don't think it's great. I think it's too racist and I can't watch it anymore. But she is beautiful, but uniquely beautiful. I don't think she's gorgeous.
There's also something, and this happens every once in a while, that a person has a unique voice that is distinctly them.
Mm-hmm.
Her voice, and I don't mean like voice with a capital V, like I'm speaking. This is like her actual physical voice that she uses is incredibly distinct.
It is.
And that, I think, is not a lot of actors or actresses can do that. We can probably name like 5 or 6 right off the top of our head, but most people they kind of fall into the background of a lot of other kind of voices, but every once in a while there's one that's very distinct. Hers definitely is, and I think that's part of her draw as well, is that she has such a distinct voice.
Another Hepburn, Katharine Hepburn, I would say, is the same thing.
Yeah.
Just has a very distinct voice. So another Pretty Woman parallel that, the part where they go into the voice, the man of the truth, and you put your hand in there. So that was all Gregory Peck. He did not tell her that he was going to do what he did, where he gets stuck and he pulls it out.
Just like the
closing of the jewelry box, and so her reaction was absolutely genuine, and I think it's adorable. So I just love that. I like their chemistry. It's a fun watch, and it's a good sad cry if you want a good old doomed romance.
The thing that I took away from it that I do enjoy about it, and I wish there were more films that were like this, is it's a man and a woman enjoying each other's company for an entire day and just learning about each other.
Yep.
I like those kind of stories. Yes, they throw in the romantic element, they end up kissing, there's like slight tension as the day goes on, and okay, that's fine. It kind of, I guess, needed to be there for this film.
Mhm.
But at its heart, it really is just two people getting to know each other.
Yep.
And I liked that. That was endearing to me. That is the story that I want to focus more on, is the two people. Like the
Mhm.
romance part of it, okay, fine, you can
Yeah.
leave it, you can take it out. But that was the part that intrigued me. It's just watching these two people get to know each other.
Yep, yep, and how many people has she probably gotten to know in her life?
Correct. This
Very,
is
very
probably
few.
the first.
Yeah.
Like outside of her circle, yeah.
Exactly. So, yep, Roman Holiday. It's an oldie but a goodie. Thanks, everyone.
See ya.
Bye.